In today's video, we are going to talk about 7 common misconceptions people have about their 401ks. These are really important to realize because we are leaving a lot of money on the table by believing these misconceptions. I am Tiffany Thomas, your wealth mentor. I achieved financial freedom in my 30s and became a millionaire at 40. I'm here to help you do that even earlier and easier and without bias, since I do not work for any third parties. And if you want to work with me on helping you understand your 401k better or manage it better, or even just learn to invest your money, I have a coaching program. I will leave a link below in the description. You can click on that link and see how you can work with me. All right, let's dive into these 7 misconceptions about your 401k. The first misconception that I want to talk about is people think they are not paying fees when they are investing inside of their 401k. They think they are just investing their money and it's all going into their 401k. The thing that people don't realize, and this happens a lot, is that there is a fee associated with the fund that you are investing in inside of your 401k. Usually when you set up your 401k, they give you a list of options, a list of different funds that you're able to invest in inside of the stock market. And each one of those funds has a certain fee associated with that fund. It's called an expense ratio. And when you are investing in that fund, a certain percentage is going toward paying that fee, and then the rest is going into the stock market. So we want to realize that we are paying fees when we are investing inside of our 401k. That way we can choose investments that are going to have the lowest fees instead of the highest fees. That way we are able to keep more of our own money. So when we get that list of options, the list of different funds that we are able to invest in inside of our 401k, we want to look at those expense ratios and see which ones are the lowest, and of course which funds are going to align with what we want to invest in. But we want to pick the lowest fee possible, the lowest expense ratio possible, and invest in that fund. It could be more than one fund, or it could just be one fund, but we want to be careful that we pay the least amount in fees so that we can have the most of our money working for us. So be very careful when you are investing inside of your 401k and you're selecting those investment options because we want to keep the most of our money. So that is the number one misconception. People just think it's free to invest inside of your 401k. All right, and then the second misconception that I want to bring up is thinking your money is invested as soon as you put money inside of your 401k. A lot of people will think, all right, I can take a certain percentage of my paycheck and have that automatically go into my 401k every 2 weeks or however often we get paid. But once that money is put into the 401k, we need to select what we want to be invested in inside of our 401k. So just transferring money to your 401k does not mean that it's actually invested in the stock market. And people make this mistake quite often, and it's very sad and very unfortunate because they'll do this for years. They've been transferring money into their 401k and they haven't seen any growth from their 401k except for the money that they're putting in every 2 weeks because they haven't selected an investment. So make sure and double check your 401k. If you have one set up already, log in and make sure you actually have your money invested into a certain fund. And then the third misconception about 401ks that people have is that your 401k rep is always right. I know I did this when I was investing, when I had my 9-to-5 job, and I really had no clue about the stock market. I didn't know what to invest in inside of my 401k. So when the 401k rep came in and we had the big meeting about getting our 401k set up and making sure that we are investing inside of our 401k, I asked my 401k rep, okay, what should I invest my money in? And he pretty much asked just when I wanted to retire and then put me in a target date retirement fund. So essentially, if you want to retire in 2055, then they would put you in a fund, a target date fund that would line up with you retiring in 2055. So with these funds, you're invested in bonds and in stocks. And as you get closer to 2055, the percentage invested in bonds increases and the amount you're invested in stocks decreases, because they are thinking, all right, you want to be more risky right now, but as you get closer to retirement, you want to be less risky. So we're going to put more of your money into bonds and decrease the amount that is in stocks. And it does it automatically for you, which is very nice. It's a very convenient way to invest. But honestly, I was in my 20s. I was not planning on pulling out any of my 401k money anytime soon. So honestly, I should have been invested fully in stocks. I had a high risk tolerance and I wanted my money to grow over time. And the way I like to look at stocks versus bonds is with stocks, you are growing your wealth, and with bonds, you are preserving your wealth. And in your 20s, if you aren't going to retire for quite a while, you want to grow your wealth. You want to have the majority, if not all of your money in stocks. So honestly, if I would have done a little research on my own and figured this out, I could have just picked a fund that was fully investing in stocks and made a lot more money. I wouldn't have had any money in bonds. And then of course I can change that as I get closer to retirement. So your 401k rep doesn't know your own situation, doesn't know your risk tolerance. So it doesn't mean that he is always right. We want to do a little research and figure out what would be best for us in our particular situation. And like I mentioned before, if you want help with these kinds of things, I have a program, so I will leave a link below in the description. You can click on that link and check out the details on how you can work with me and figure out your 401k and how you want to invest your money to become financially free. The fourth misconception that people have about their 401ks is that they need to be in a lot of different investments or a lot of different funds, that they can't just select one or two funds and be good. They think they need to be investing in 5 or 6 or even 10 different funds, having a little bit of money in every single different fund. And honestly, that is not the best way to invest our money. There is usually quite a bit of overlap with some of these funds. So we don't need to be investing in 3 funds that are going to have the majority of those investments within the funds be the same. That's going to be too much overlap for us. We can pick the fund, like I mentioned in the beginning, we can pick the fund that has the lowest expense ratio, the lowest fee, and go with that fund. We don't need to have 10 different funds and have some that are really high expense ratios and some that are in the middle and then some that are low. We can determine what we want to invest in, if it is the majority in stocks or all in stocks, and pick a really good diversified stock fund. And then we could also pick a bond fund if we want to have bonds in our portfolio. But we don't usually need 10 different funds to be invested in. That is not going to give us the highest returns. And then item number 5 is that people think they need to change their investments often. They start investing in their 401k and they don't see the performance or the returns that they really want or that they think they should be getting. And so they end up changing things around. And then the next month they think, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. So they change them back, or they add a fund, or they take out a fund, and they just keep making all of these changes. If we can do a little research up front and pick the fund or funds that are going to be the best for us, we can just continue to invest in those same funds for the long term. Once we get closer to retirement, then I can see changing things up. But we don't need to be constantly changing our investments within our 401k. That is not going to give us the highest returns. We need to keep that long-term perspective and invest in what is going to grow over that long term, and not worry about what is happening in the short term so much. It really helps if we can keep that long-term perspective with investing. I know I've seen this in my own life. When I am checking my investments every week or even every day or every month and I'm thinking, oh, they dropped this week, then I can start to stress out and think, oh, I need to sell that investment and put it into something else. But investing over the years, I've realized that keeping a long-term perspective really makes me a lot more successful investor. So don't worry about changing things up constantly. That is not going to help the performance of your portfolio. And then number 6 is the 6th misconception about 401ks is that when the stock market goes down, that I don't need to invest my money. And this is quite the contrary, because we want to be buying low and then selling high, or just continuing to keep our investments for the long term. When the stock market goes down, that means stocks are on sale. These investments are on sale, so we can definitely invest in them because we are getting a discount on these investments. And if we are keeping that long-term perspective, then we know that is going to go up in the long term. We don't need to be worried about what is happening in the short term. If we are picking good investments, good funds that we know are going to grow over that long term, we can continue to invest in them, especially when the price drops. And then the last one, the 7th misconception about 401ks is that I only need to contribute up to my company match. A lot of companies will do a 401k match, which is great. I definitely took advantage of these company matches when I had my 9-to-5 jobs. And we really want to take advantage of that because that is free money. It is money the company is just giving you for investing your money. And they usually do that up to a certain percentage. So a lot of people will think, oh, okay, I only need to invest up to that certain percentage. But honestly, they could max out their 401k. Depending on your situation, you may want to set up a Roth IRA and invest money there, or invest in real estate or other investments. But if maybe you already have all of your other investments taken care of, so you can definitely invest above the company match in the 401k. You can max that out. It doesn't just have to be the amount that you are getting the match on. And of course, we do want to be smart with our investments and determine where we can invest our money that has the lowest fees, and determine what type of investor we want to be. If we want to invest in the stock market only, or if we want to also invest in real estate, then we can definitely set aside money for down payments or things like that. But we definitely want to invest as much of our money as possible. So that could mean investing in your 401k above that company match. All right, those are the 7 401k misconceptions. Comment below and tell me if you learned something new in this video. I'm curious to know. And if you do want to work with me and figure this investing stuff out and be better with investing in your 401k and setting up your own investment accounts, or even investing in real estate, make sure and click that link below in the description on how you can work with me. And if you found this video helpful, make sure and hit that like button and hit the subscribe button and share it with someone else who would like to hear this information. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.